What's going on, guys? Do with Dan back in the garage with the Harley build series. Today we're going to be kind of getting it refreshed, a little bit cleaned up, and see if we can't get it to run and drive. Well, now we've already known that it will run by some form of witchcraft magic. So I've got fresh spark plugs, fresh oil, gear oil to go inside the crankcase. Oh yeah, and some fresh gasoline too. So we're going to see if we can't get this thing into a reliable state. I actually did a little bit more research on this bike, and turns out that I was trying to get it to ride in fourth gear because it's 1 up, 3 down. So that means that first gear is actually above neutral instead of the other way around. But today we actually had some help on this build. Moto Amino decided that they kind of want to help out with the build just a little bit. If you haven't heard of it, basically it's an app that's all about working on motorcycles and posting photos of motorcycles. It's basically like a big app that's all about forums and ideas and how to fix things and posting what you're doing with bikes. I mean, showing different riding locations, meeting new people. It's basically like the Tinder of motorcycles, except no one's trying to have sex with you, I guess. So I suggest you guys go check that out. It's actually pretty cool, and they're actually helping us with the build a little bit. And they said that, you know, if the shout out does well enough, they'll actually want to sponsor the build a little bit more. That means that the bike is going to get done a lot quicker. So if you want to see the bike get done way faster than it should be, go ahead and check it out, you know, help me out. That way they'll sponsor the whole build. Cool, awesome, sounds great. Let's get started. So I went online and found this this replacement filter for an Armacci. It looks a little bit bigger than the other filter. This is the original filter, and this is the replacement filter that I found online that should probably do the job. We got some nice iridium spark plugs. Those will do great. Hopefully those didn't break. Through all the research that I've been able to do, we're gonna go with this 10W40 engine oil for the crankcase. How that's gonna work, we'll find out. And then we've got some mixing oil, 2-cycle oil for the actual oil injection itself. We're going to drain all the gas out of the gasoline tank so we can have some fresh gas in there. Replace the spark plugs, replace the air filter, and then fill the crankcase full of oil. And then we should have a reliable bike. See how this bike runs fine. I have no idea if the piston rings are shot or anything like that. It has been sitting for such a long time that I'm not particularly worried about it. It hasn't run at all. So I think right now the main goal should be to drop the oil out of the oil pan, which I believe is on the other side. And now that is a big drain plug. Now if I'm correct in my research, this drain plug should also have the filter attached to it, along with, you know, this big magnetic as well. So we're just gonna drain into this solo cup right here, because this whole container only takes 0.6 quarts of oil, and I doubt by any sense of the word luck that there's any oil in here left. So I'm just gonna open it up and try to get into that solo cup over there, then probably dump it in my neighbor's backyard. That was incredibly easy. Oh yeah, that's fucking gross. All right, I learned this in bartending school. Whoop! Haha. Legit. It almost looks like coffee, actually. It's fucking so disgusting looking. That oil smells awful. While she drips, this is the original license plate. Registered in year 73. Now just so I make sure I get it really nice and clean, I'm gonna hit it with some brake parts cleaner, break up the crud. This is actually a plastic washer, so I'm not worried about it like fucking up with any rubber seals or anything like that. Nice and clean. And since that is a plastic washer, I don't think I want to tighten it too tight, just enough to kind of remate the seal, you know? I'm sure it'll still leak though, it is a Harley. For the sake of being that guy, I'm gonna clean it up with some brake parts cleaner. Brake parts cleaner, when cleaning's too much work. Man, that crankcase does clean up nicely once you get it nice and shiny. Looking good. And actually, man, with just a little bit of spray cleaner, seems to sharpen up quite nice. I also want to tell you guys that I changed the idea about what color I'm going to paint it. No more yellow or black. OD green, baby. Now, thanks to the modern miracle of the internet, I was actually able to find the entire Harley-Davidson single 2-stroke service manuals for all of them. Anything that's a 2-stroke I have right here on my phone. And thankfully it's been able to provide me with a lot of information. Some information that's not providing me anything at all, like what type of oil to use, stuff like that. But it also shows what mixture ratios, and it's got a pretty detailed list of everything you need to do. And which is really great about that, it shows you what page they're on. The oil capacity for a Rapido MLS, which is a 1970s or older, is approximately 1.3 pints. How ridiculous is that? So obviously I don't speak pints. According to the internet, 1.3 pints is 0.65 quarts. And I have 1 quart of oil, which means that I need 0.6 of this, which is about right there at the 20 mark. And now it's time to get even trickier because that's the little tiny hole that I have to pour it into. Now, believe it or not, I don't have a funnel that'll work on that. But what I do have is tin foil. This is kind of a cool little trick if you ever need a funnel in a jiffy and you don't have a funnel, but you just happen to have, you know, this tin foil laying around for whatever reason. The downside of this is that you have to pour really slowly, otherwise it overfills. And we're good. And then you can just throw away your funnel when you're done. We've got fresh oil in the transmission. Air filter, spark plugs, fresh gas, will be good to go. Like a glove. Thankfully the air filter is extremely easy to change on this thing. You just pop it in and out like nothing. You just screw this little screw bit on, match up the edges. And we're in like Sly Koopa. Alrighty then. Tiny little spark plug. Well, we've run into some issues. It's got the new air filter, it's got the new spark plugs, and it's got fresh oil in the crank, fresh gas in the tank, and now she ain't running. Now last time I actually rode the bike around a little bit. It died. I couldn't get it started back up. Figured it was probably just flooded. And then I'd try it again later. Now I'm starting to think that maybe something worse happened. I don't know. Could be a number of things. Could be fuel issues. Could be the carburetor. Could be the engine itself just decided it didn't want to be on anymore. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. But right now it's not starting up at all. Might have fucked up. I got the mix ratio right, 1 gallon of gas for 3 scoops of oil. So right now, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these motor mounts here, and I'm looking at this motor mount down here at the bottom. And I'm thinking to myself, if I were to order a 250cc dirt bike motor, would it fit? I don't have much clearance between that tire. I could always get rid of that fender. That's not a problem. I've tried the old spark plug. I've tried new spark plugs. It's getting spark. It's just not starting. It does not want to start. So I think it might be time to start looking at a motor swap. So this right here is a 125cc motor, and it makes approximately 1 horsepower. That's right. Brand new from the factory, it made approximately 1 horsepower. Actually, it was like 0.9 horsepower. It wasn't even a full horsepower. And I'm looking at some cheaper 250 motors. They run about 250 bucks on eBay. They're 250s, and they produce about 8 horsepower. Or maybe that was the other 150s. I don't know. I'm thinking about ordering that and a carburetor and seeing if that'll work. The only question is making motor mounts for it for me. That's the only issue that I have. Because the main motor mount is at the top right here, and then it's kind of like cupped at the bottom, and then I think there's also another motor mount in here somewhere. So this is the main motor mount. This holds onto the head, and then you've got this one right here, and then of course it kind of like cups the whole thing. What I think I might just have to do is get a new motor and try to do a custom motor swap. This is where it gets not fun. Swapping out one motor for another motor is one thing, but making another motor that's not even supposed to be in this bike work altogether, that's where it starts to get hard. Tell you what, I'm not gonna do another 2-stroke.